What is the actual economic situation of Zimbabwe?
Well, the situation in Zimbabwe was characterized in 2008 by high inflation, and early 2009 stabilization measures were put in place. The hyperinflation was stopped, and we brought in the use of multi-currencies, which means basically the Zimbabwe dollar was thrown out, and we now use mostly the US dollar and the rand, but all the other firm currencies are also allowed. And this has allowed the economy to start picking up. It has started picking up to an extent where the average use, you can get all products in supermarkets. There is no food shortage anymore. There isn't, the shelves are full, and you're now beginning to have the local industries operating at capacities between 35 and 45%, and therefore you are seeing an economy that is growing. We're beginning to have external investment coming in, particularly on the mining sector, and we're seeing the production from mines going up. So in summary, you are seeing an economy that is now beginning to grow, and we're hoping and expecting that in 2009 the economy grew by close to 4%, if not more, and that in 2010 we will be growing at a double-digit rate. So in terms of the economy's performance, it's certainly something that it's now recovering to a point where Zimbabwe will be able to gain its rightful place as a significant economic player in the world.
How do you explain, I'll call it astronomical inflation rate that Zimbabwe has been experiencing?
Well, it's been a year now since we have had that astronomical inflation rate, and it has gone. The major reasons were the, you can say, the quasi-fiscal activities that were being undertaken by the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe at that point, and the printing, excessive printing of money, and the lack of productivity, where we are now substituting production by excessive importing of commodities.
I'd like to, I don't know how I'll call it exactly, but I'll call it the power sharing government. Yes. How is it going on?
Well, the power sharing agreement and the government is holding on. There has been some difficulties in terms of fulfilling all the terms of the global political agreement, but you can see that a lot of effort is being put in, both by the political parties and now by SADC, and South Africa as the facilitator, to make sure that all the items of the global political agreement are attended to, and then to bring the necessary stability that goes with it.
I mean, the international community has been asking long for the departure of Mr. Mugabe. How do people in Zimbabwe, what position, I mean, people of Zimbabwe take towards the international community on this point?
Well, as you know, that we had an election, a presidential election in 2008, and which showed that the now Prime Minister got more votes than the President, and it's an indication of the way the people of Zimbabwe feel. But we must also be able to know that we have got a global political agreement in which the three parties agreed to Mr. Mugabe becoming president of Zimbabwe during this coalition period.
What do you answer to people who postulate that all the difficulties of Zimbabwe are due to one thing, the ego of one man?
Well, like in the world view, everybody is entitled to their own opinion. But what we can say is that we have got a situation in Zimbabwe which is much different to the situation that was pertaining before the inclusive government was put in. We have got a new constitutional amendment that amended the powers of the president, and that brought in new structures like the office of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. And therefore, when you look at Zimbabwe today, it is not the same Zimbabwe that was there before the inclusive government was put in. And I think it will be fair for the international community to actually understand that they are not dealing with the old Zimbabwe, where there was a unitary ZANU-PF government which had all the powers in President Mugabe, and that there is a power-sharing agreement in which three parties are sharing the powers of government, and that we have got a president who has got much reduced powers than before.
Is President Mugabe preparing his departure from power, or is he going to stay here for the rest of his life?
Well, unfortunately, I do not belong to his party to be able to know what the party's plans are or his personal plans are. I'm sure it's something that we will also see when it happens.
But in practice, how it's going on with President Mugabe? Is he no longer the only holder of power, and is he really leaving? Sharing power?
Well, you know, from the global political agreement that the office of the Prime Minister shares power with the office of the President. And there are many, many things that the President cannot do without the agreement of the Prime Minister. And therefore, as I said earlier, you are not looking at a President who had executive powers and the only executive powers before. Now, he is sharing that power with Mr. Morgan Tsvangirai.
And is this political configuration, this new political configuration, bringing visible change in the life of people of Zimbabwe?
Yes, there's been extremely visible change in Zimbabwe. First, the inflation has gone. Two, the shops have got products and people can go and buy. Three, the social situation has greatly improved. Schools have reopened. School kids are going to school. Four, hospitals have reopened, and there is medicine, though still not adequate in most of the hospitals, and the major hospitals are functioning well. And therefore, a lot of people feel this. And the past Christmas, a lot of them were joking to say that this Christmas they dedicated to President or to Prime Minister Tsvangirai, and that Christmas is back now.
Okay, let's now talk about the agricultural reform. Where is this dossier? Is it going on, or has the reform stopped with the new government, I'll say?
Well, according to what in the political agreement, we all agreed that the land reform exercise should carry on. And in practice, what that meant is that we have had farms that have been gazetted, and that gazetting will not be reversed. But because we have always had political issues about the way the land was dished out, and the productivity of that land. We want to be able to make sure that there should be a land audit. The land audit is to make sure that there are no beneficiaries of more than one farm, to make sure that no cronies have taken advantage of that system, and that as many people as possible have been allocated, and that these farms are being productively used. And where they are not being productively used, at least if government knows, will then be able to take the kind of measures that are necessary to bring productivity to those farms. And that for the extra land that has not yet been given out, that there will be at that point a proper way of distributing that land.
You seem very optimistic about the future of Zimbabwe. Um, what is your prediction for the coming years? I mean, on the economic issue.
Well, my prediction is that Zimbabwe will be growing its economy at double-digit levels for at least the next 10 years. It has got the people, I think the people of Zimbabwe are well educated, and they are very hardworking, and they are determined to make sure that they will be able to succeed. We have got lots of natural resources which we should be able to leverage, and recently there has been discovery of diamonds, which we believe will play a critical role in the economic development of our country, but also a lot of the minerals that are there. And we also have got plans to make sure that we bring in extra capacities in terms of the ICT and having a robust ICT backbone to bring in that whole knowledge industry and outsourcing industry into our country. So I'm very bullish when I look at the future, because there is a lot more going for Zimbabwe now. And we are one of the few countries that has clearly articulated that it allows private sector to participate in the infrastructure development of the country, whereas many countries still believe that the infrastructure sector is the preserve of government. And that allows more private sector players to come in and facilitate and quicken the pace of our development.
Now, you are assisting at the conference organized by the World Bank. I mean, you have been there for 2 days, and I mean the conference is for 3 days. Concretely, how this conference will help Zimbabwe in its new economic paradigm and political paradigm?
Well, I think one of the things is to be able to understand the way the World Bank functions, and this issue of doing business in Africa, so that we can improve our competitiveness. And therefore, one of the things that we are going to do is to engage with the World Bank to make sure that the kind of steps that are necessary to be taken are then taken, and we will guide each other to make sure that these are done as quickly as possible.
Honorable Ministers, thank you for according this interview. Is there anything you wanted to add?
Yes, just to say that Zimbabwe is one of the prime investment destination in the world. We have got policies including the use of multi-currencies, which makes one of the few countries without exchange control regulations, and we are going to keep this for some time, that we are a lot more friendly to investors right through the world, and this is the time for investors to look at Zimbabwe very seriously. Well, we had approvals which were in excess of 500 million, but the actual inflows we are still having to put that together. It will be much less than that.